down, but they're looking for the killer blow. That's it, back of the end zone. Dagger! He's looking. Jamil's coming. He's moving. He's got him. He's got him. It was caught, but Jed has called the sack. Incomplete. He called the sack. It's 2 points to the Hammerhead. An unbelievable sack there by Jamil. This is the last game of the day. It's caught and it's in. It's a touchdown.
That's it.
It's a touchdown. The last play of the game. The clock is at zeros. That's it. Your Swansea Hammerheads are advancing to the Division 1 final, having knocked off the 2 seed and having knocked off the 1 seed. Alan Young, you look absolutely stunned.
What do you mean by live? Genuine live?
Yes.
We're broadcasting.
Hello, radio!
And now, a new episode of The Way.
Yes, hello
We
radio.
HNC.
Welcome back to another episode of The Way We HNC It. There has been breaking news left, right, and centre. My name is Bez Berry. I am excited to welcome you back into our little world of flag football, and as ever, introduce my fabulous travelling companion on the journey, Mr. Stuart Anderson.
Hello, radio.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, radio. Hi, Bez. It's nice to be back again. Howdy. Although
sure
I got a telling off for missing last week from a Ravens player. You know who you are. Where's this week's podcast to hype us up? I'm like, oh, my bad. I was at the circus and had a child meltdown. My bad.
So,
But it's good to be back, Bez. How's things, Bez?
things are good. It was, once again, nice to be back playing, and my run of playing in exemplary venues only continues, as in week 4 was at the glorious Stirling University, and yes, over the weekend, Edinburgh University playing fields at Peffer Mill underneath Arthur's Seat, in very different weather to what we saw in Stirling.
Beautiful.
It was a little bit of moisture in the air, but other than that, it was a good day out, I think.
Love that. The exemplary venues. It certainly makes it better. Like this year, it has been, apart from maybe probably one for us. I think we've been pretty lucky as well, but no, that's decent. That makes a whole world of difference, doesn't it?
Where were you this weekend? Renfrew, right?
I was in the Costa del Renfrewshire.
Yes, yes.
It was good. Like the actual pitch itself was actually really nice. It's just if you went outside of it, there's probably a car rolling by on fire or something. But the actual venue itself was fine.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that like Renfrewshire doesn't deserve that, but it absolutely does.
No, I'm kidding. It's actually really easy to get to. It's just before obviously you get to the airport. A couple roundabouts just off on the main motorway, and it's obviously at a local high school. I think it was where we were at, or was it the other guys at the high school? I don't remember, but they were basically within like 10 minutes. Jimmy Thompson was on like this sort of like, oh, the Broncos are playing, I'm going to drive along and watch them, and then came back and watched our game.
Yeah.
And after our game, he drove back. I was like, Jimmy, Jesus, he's a travelling advertisement or marketing guy. He was on a job at the weekend.
The absolute.
It was good. It was good, man. Nice wee venue. I liked it. Good solid grass. Well, that wasn't grass. It was AstroTurf or 4G or whatever.
Whatever we're calling it.
Thank you very much to the bees for that.
Sneaking into kind of next week's show, probably. Where's your final venue? Are you home? Oh, you're home.
Mustangs. Well, yeah, we're at home. Yeah, it's a Mustangs home game day, not a Colts home game day.
Mustangs.
So technically we're the away team. But it's at Grangemouth Rugby Club, I think it's at. So just next to kind of like the Kelpies.
Yeah.
So it's pretty central. It's easy enough to get to for pretty much everyone apart from Aberdeen, who will obviously complain as usual. But you know. It should be a nice wee venue. I think it's grass. I remember playing the Oil Cats. Is that where Tom had his moment?
Yes.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Miss you, Tom.
Yeah, it's on grass.
It's grass. Yeah, I vaguely remember the venue.
Yeah. Yeah, we're It's my home game in week 6. So it's only
is it?
only the 2-hour drive to my home game. Looking
Oh
forward to it.
my god,
Can't wait.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Can't wait. It's not the 54 minutes from earlier in the season, but it's the second closest for my home game. So very excited about that.
I love that.
It's the pitch that you've already played on. So it's the same pitch.
Oh, Ellen.
Ellen.
Oh, you'll enjoy that. Oh, Bez, just to top off your year in a nice, soft, lovely venue. Suggestion is for anyone travelling up to that game day, don't park in the car park at the top on the main road. Go along the road and turn left a bit, and you can drive into the actual venue car park, so it's closer to the front gate. I forgot, Bez. I drove in. I was like, "Oh, perfect! I'll park here." Then I had to humph my stuff all the way
up and down the hill. Yeah. There is
actually
is actually a venue car park. Yeah.
There is. Yeah, don't park at the top like an idiot like me, guys. Park around the side. There you go. There's my top tip of the week for the next game day. There you go. A beautiful venue, Bez.
Beautiful venue. Yeah. So looking forward to that. But yeah, before we get to what happened this weekend in flag football up and down the country in the National Flag Football League, there has been an awful lot of news, which means I'm going to press a button that I have not pressed in quite some time. He's not here.
Greg. Greg.
He's not here. He's not here
again.
But it's too good a jingle to not use, and also it took me way more takes than you would probably expect to get that out. So I'm going to start using it again. Basically, until I can be bothered to sit and record a kind of generic news one. And the thing is, though, if we keep playing that, one day he might just be back, and then
he come back.
We'll surprise people. Yeah, that is.
We'll keep it in the backlog.
It'll just be hidden away in the backlog. But in terms of the news, there has been an awful lot of news going on since the last time we were on, and I think that the one we're definitely going to start with is the one that we had to keep a secret for the longest amount of time, which was the announcement of the GB women's squad ahead of the World Championships in Finland next month. So yeah, that came out 2 weeks ago, I think. So yeah, heading to Lati representing in Great Britain will be Brittany Botterill at quarterback, Phoebe Schechter at centre, and then the following wide receivers: Marta Matthews, Grace Conway, Emily Kemp, and Amy Wells. For your defensive backs of Kelly Barrett, Natasha Linton, Ellie Thorpe, Emma Dedicoat, and Lottie Laidler, with the sack queen herself, Sarah Wakelin, at Blitz. So, I was so psyched. When we got the list through, so that we could prepare the announcement as a stacked team. It's so stacked. And waiting in reserve is unbelievable flag team in itself. So there's a lot of players that unfortunately didn't make the final 12, and as always, when you see that, your heart goes out to the ones that put so much work in and didn't quite make it. But obviously at the same time, we are unbelievably psyched to see the European champions go back to work at the Worlds, ranked 4th, and we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But
the implications of that doing well, we'll see what it looks like, how it's either hampered or gave them an opportunity.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
it
really. Yeah. And we may as well we'll do the whole section of the Worlds. So yeah, obviously the Great Britain women's squad are out. We're going to be bringing you guys a lot more content from both the men's and the women's team. You'll have seen some of it already on our on the blog and on Instagram and on Facebook. We'll hopefully get some players and coaches on. We've already got some of them booked, so you'll see them later this month before they head away. But yeah, we're going to try and fill your ear holes with as much World Championship build up as we can. Yeah, it's exciting.
It's pretty cool
times to be.
It's cool. Eh?
It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be psyched on flag football. Put it that way.
It really is, like, even from having both perspectives and having a natural involvement in the game, and then to go to that level. I think anyone, it just piques your interest in the sport even more, and you get behind. It's like it means more. Like watching the Euro Championship for the football, you're just like, yeah, all right, cool. This means more because it's people that you know, like it's friends from other clubs and people that you see throughout the year, and it's. I feel like a lot more invested in this than watching any other sort of like discipline or sport, and I guess that goes if you're in any other sport. You just have it just piques your interest way more, eh? And
like I don't personally know Phil Foden, so like if he scores, cool, but you know,
right.
It's different. It's different when it's like someone that you know well.
Exactly, yeah.
But the build up has been really cool. Obviously, IFAF just released the World Championship group stage, which is also like super exciting, and we now know that that was essentially done. Well, not essentially done. It was done directly by seeding. So yeah, the higher your seed, the more, in theory, the easier ride you have. Whether or not that is quite the case, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, if we start in the women's division, Group A, USA, Australia, France, Sweden, and Ireland. Group B, Mexico, Canada, Italy, Denmark, and Korea. Group C, Japan, Germany, Brazil, Finland, and Poland. We're in 5-team groups. Group D and Group E are 4-team groups. So Group D, Great Britain, Panama, Czechia, and Israel. Group E, Austria, Spain, New Zealand, and Switzerland. So because we haven't spoken about this, you and I there's deliberately
we haven't, not in person, no.
Yeah, and there was deliberately some things that I didn't want to like message you or say before we came on, because I don't even know if it's a disclosure. It's quite exciting actually. BAFA, so the head of communications and their content creation team over at BAFA basically saw the work that the Way We HNC and Andy Keith did last year at the Euros, with managing to get the scores out and the kind of the progression of the tournament out really quickly. And obviously Andy's amazing images and graphics. And I basically said, we're not going to bother trying to go like head to head. Why don't you guys just do it? And we'll run everything through your channels and through BAFA channels as well. And they're also going to provide us with additional content to be able to share with the wider flag community. So again, and I've said this to you before, Tree, and I've said this to Greg before. I don't know why this keeps happening to us, but it does. And now we're in a situation where we're going to be covering the Worlds as much as we can. Both, obviously, we're going to be incredibly biased towards Team GB. So if you are listening from around the world, and I can see the metrics, so I know that many of you do, like, sorry, but not that sorry. Like, we're back in the guys, right? But we're also going to be covering the tournament in a more kind of wide fashion. So we, as in Andy and I, under lock and key, found out the groups on the Thursday. And for anyone that knows me well, will know how hard it was for me to keep that secret until Saturday. Like, I didn't even tell.
An Excel spreadsheet that literally says embargoed, and Bez is just shaking.
Like, honestly, I've never been So for anyone that uses like Meta Business Suite for anything that they do, it allows scheduling Instagram posts and Facebook posts and stuff. Basically, it means that when something goes out, it's not necessarily one of us pressing the button at the time. Like you do it a couple of days before. And Business Suite, BS, has perfect initials, right? Because it's useless. It's buggy. It does things you don't expect. So when I scheduled all the posts, I have never been more scared. I spent probably like 48 hours just terrified that it was just going to post them because it can.
Yeah, because I think
like
the quote was, IFAF are putting out stern warnings on the consequences of any leaks. It's like,
it was
do not post, do not post, do
like,
not post, do not.
So the yeah, and the consequences were brutal as well. So, but it all went well. Everything went out, but it does mean that you and I have not discussed the groups because I was I just about had to swear a blood oath just to be allowed to be forwarded one section of the email. So
when I saw that in the group chat, and I think my reply was acknowledged. Like, I acknowledge this. Like, I am not going to open it. I'm not going to talk about it. And like when I was modifying the graphics before they got released as well, I'm like, I can't tell anyone about this. Like, I can't even speak about, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that would be cool. I can't say anything.
Yeah. So Tree and I had the same privileged information, knew it was the same privileged information, knew we both had it, and we're still too scared to talk to each other about it.
Yep. Who's listening?
Tinfoil hats, so no one can even steal our thoughts.
Yeah. I think when it came in, I think the first thing that was really obvious to me was the World Rankings tab that had the sort of the breakdown of, you know, the teams that were not present, which was probably the first thing I noticed was maybe not so much interested in the women's one. I don't think there was any I guess not. You obviously don't know the nations personally, but none of the big hitters, like the top 15 are all represented in the world rankings. I was like, okay, that's normal. What I found surprising in the men's, no Thailand, 5 seed, no Netherlands, which I was a bit surprised at, with Cliff and Christian. I'm
not sure what
I'm trying to forget my Jerome. Jesus, I eluded my brain for a second there. They've obviously always been at the forefront of pushing the Danish national team, and what they've been doing recently with the Dutch national lines, like tournaments, getting more rotation from other clubs. I found that quite unusual because Finland's not that far. Like, it's not that far to travel. So that was a bit weird, but yeah, that's probably the two that took my eye of not being in a group. Don't know if you're the same, Bez.
Yeah, I think Thailand for sure. I feel like that's a shame. That's a missed opportunity. Like, obviously their rankings will take a hit. But just for more than that, like, you know, they're the champs, aren't they? Like they won their continental games, you know. So if, you know, they earned the right to be there, it's a shame that they're not able to travel. I understand, like, even from the UK, going to Scandinavia is hugely expensive. Like, I can't even imagine what it is like coming from the other side of the world. But yeah, it'll be a pity. But I guess we will just have to move on. So yeah, if we start on the women's side that we read out, what did anything jump out at you straight away?
From both perspectives, I'd probably say GB have to be ready to go from the beginning with Panama and Israel and Chicha. I think you got to be careful there. And our Irish friends across the sea.
That's a rough draw. It's a rough draw.
Brutal. That's rough. Now, obviously, they're coming in as a lower seed, which you kind of maybe expect. You know, you're going to be in a tough group regardless, you know, of you know, being down, I think they're ranked 27. But US, Australia, France, that's your top 11 teams in the country, and the country, top 11 in the world.
Yeah. Three top 11 teams in the world in your group, and then Sweden as well.
Tough. So they're going to have to go with like competency, go learn, see what you can take out from it for the next time. and then just really go to just try and be as competitive as you possibly can be. They'll be obviously prepared. They've went through a lot this year with the inaugural sort of like flag in the country, and I think that it's just going to keep setting up for the future. So go
Clear
learn,
eyes, full hearts.
take what you can from them, be around, a lot of great talent for a weekend or more, and take it all back. But I think that's probably from a UK sort of Ireland perspective. I think GB have got a great opportunity to do well from their group, but they've got to be careful. Anything else that springs to mind?
I'm looking forward to Group C. I think Japan-Germany is a delicious match.
Yeah, we've seen the German women a few times.
I think that's really good. I think Mexico and Canada is one of those where I feel like they're probably both going to progress regardless. Their game at the Continentals, the American Continentals, Mexico won just by a single point. So, and then obviously Mexico went on to the final. But that could be a good group game in itself. But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
9 seeds for Canada. It's a bit low.
I don't think either of them are going to. I would be stunned if one of them are out of the group.
I would agree with you there. I think there's not really going to be many shocks. I don't think.
I feel like the top two are the top
Group
two.
C,
again, Group E is exactly the same, right? Austria and Spain
probably fine.
Austria and Spain, one hell of a game, but I don't know if New Zealand or Switzerland will be able to overcome them.
It's funny looking at it.
The really interesting thing for me is when the results first came out, there was a lot of chat about how winning your continental games was weighted, so much, right? And a lot of the insinuation was the Asian teams are ranked too highly, right? Like on Instagram, like a lot of the insinuation was, how can Panama be 7 and Japan 3? And that was a lot of the conversation, right? Like, does anyone really believe that? Does anyone really think that? Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. Australia at 10, France at 11. Do we really believe that? Well, guess what, guys? You're in the same group, so we're going to find out now. Like, you're going to play each other, and we're going to find out. So it's on the line now, and I'm
it's on the line, and this is
very
going to answer
psyched.
a lot of questions, Bez. Yeah, this is going to answer a lot of questions across the nations, continents. It's going to really put it into them perspective, and you'll get a true reflection. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like at the end, Bez, and have a comparison between before the event seedings and at the end final standings, and how does it represent? And they should be relatively close.
I'm also very keen to see the 2025 rankings.
Good point. Yeah.
So when it's all said and done, and IFAF do their maths, how it's all changed. So that'll be
IFAF do their maths. That'll be fun.
So before we move on from the women's bracket, there is one game which I think I really don't want people to overlook, because there's one match in this tournament which, personally, I demand a live stream of. I don't know who's going to be in it yet.
Oh, we spoke. I think I know the one you're on about. Yep.
This is the 7th and 8th seed, right? The final 7th, 8th playoff, right? Because next year, the World Games are in Chengdu, in China, and it's an 8-team tournament again, like it was when it was in Alabama. The host nation are guaranteed a spot. Now, no one noticed that last time round because America were the host nation and they're the number 1 seed, right? So they qualified on merit rather than because of the host nation rule. But China aren't here, and China are unranked, which means
they are, aren't they? Yeah.
There's only 7 spots at the World Championships available, right? So the top 7, because it would be the top 8, but China. So that means there's only 7 spots left. So that means that the 7-8 playoff game is the game to decide if you go to the World Games or not. And we know the way that the rankings are worked, being at the World Games is huge for earning ranking points and getting you further up the overall world rankings. And now we know that this draw has been done. The further up the world rankings, better, in quotes, group you get at the next championships. So getting to the World Games gets you a better draw in your continentals. getting a better draw in your continentals means you've got a better chance of getting further in those championships, right? Like, because you're not going to come up against a powerhouse in the groups. Getting further in those will get you further in the World Championships, right? Now it's 2027, and we're no longer talking about whether or not we're going to the World Games or not. We're talking about whether we're going to the damn Olympics. So, yeah, it's hyperbole, and I know people are probably already sick about the Olympic chat, but when you're talking about the elite international level of flag, like, it starts now. Like, we are all go from now. Every road now leads to, I don't know, wherever we're going to do it, the Colosseum.
Well, you're calling the Colosseum. It's going to happen. We have to manifest this stadium of yours.
Or we need to manifest the Paris beach volleyball stadium.
Oh, that was beautiful. You showed me a picture of that. That was lovely.
For those of you that haven't seen it yet, pause the podcast, pick your phone up, Google, Paris Olympics beach volleyball stadium. You'll know where we're at, and then come back and press play.
It's just so picturesque as well. Perfect. Even just watching it from that location is just going to be beautiful.
The Eiffel Tower, like right on the net, is just so good. Well done to that designer. Yeah, well done. You earned your euros that morning. So yes, okay, right. Over to the men's side of the draw, where we've got groups A to H, all 4 team groups, which is pretty exciting. So Group A, USA, Spain, Brazil, and Serbia. Group B, Mexico, Australia, Chile, and Cameroon. Group C, Germany, Great Britain, Sweden, and Georgia. Group D, Austria, Switzerland, Ukraine, and Poland. E, Italy, Canada, Finland, Singapore. F, Panama, New Zealand, Czechia, Korea. G, Israel, Denmark, Ireland, India. And H is Japan, France, Kuwait, Argentina.
There's a lot of groups and a lot of football, Bez.
There's so much.
I guess you start GB in Group C. That's an intriguing group.
Yeah.
With the 3, the 15, the 22, and the 38th seed. The lowest ranked seeded team there in Georgia. Apart from Serbia and Cameroon, obviously. The lowest seeded team.
But
yeah, that's a toughie. That's a tough group for the British guys. Germany, European champions.
Yeah.
Sweden, really competent team.
A resurgent Sweden.
Yeah, they've been doing really well. They did. I'm sure they did quite well at the Euros the last time out, didn't they? Oh, I can't remember. I remember seeing the results coming in, and they did quite well. I can't remember where they finished overall though. But
I'm not sure what their final. I can't remember off the top of my head what their final run was.
I can't remember either. But I remember they did actually not too bad. So yeah, I think from a GB contention, I think a tough German game. We know that Benny and his gang of Motley Crew are going to be absolutely up for this one. Like, this is the next step in their progression as a nation to stick it to the big names. So they'll be wanting to hit hard here and prove a point that they deserve. You know, we are the European champions. We're 3rd seed. We deserve to be here.
For sure. And I think as well, they're in the way that like GB are obviously looking up at Germany, like they're the European champions. Like you have a good go at the European champions. You scalp the European champions. All of a sudden, everyone's looking at you, right?
Really good position.
But from a German perspective, you're like, it's the 2 international powerhouses and then us. And we want to, 1, you want to test yourself, and 2, you want to knock them off, right? Like the whole point of having someone at the bottom of the pyramid is so you can throw at the top of the pyramid, so you can throw stones at them. But at the same time, you want to be having stones thrown at you, right? So weird analogy. That's fine. We'll maybe edit that out. I probably won't.
We'll keep it. We can throw stones at people.
We'll stay in. There's very minimal. Now that we've changed studio and the AI does it, there's very minimal editing on my part. But yeah, like that's a fascinating group. The other, I think the
Group A for USA, I'm a bit underwhelmed by.
Group A, I'm a wee bit underwhelmed by. Yeah, even Group B, I'm kind of underwhelmed by.
Same.
I think for me, where it gets like interesting is actually like G and H. Because at those ends, the rankings are kind of, they're either very split or they're very close together, right? So you look at Group G, 8, 11, 18, and then 31. A lot of teams are quite close together. In the last year since hosting the Euros, Irish flag has come on along a lot. Like we've followed, as you said before, we followed Cladable We followed the kind of the men's side, the mixed side of the draw over there as well. We've seen more Irish teams start to travel. Obviously, the Panthers are becoming stalwarts and regulars at Flag and New Year. Great to see them. I think that's a hard group for them, right?
Oh, Denmark have been a powerhouse of Europe flag football for a decade.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not going to beat around the book and say that's an easy group for them. Like it's rough, right? Like that is a hard group to try and progress out of. Israel Denmark is going to be an absolute firecracker.
Oh, that'll be a doozy.
Like that is going to be feisty. I think the same again. Japan and France, right? Japan 9, France 10.
Like a game.
Cracking game.
Is it a top 2 progress?
Yes. So that's a good point. Yeah. So on the men's side, it's super easy. 8 groups, top 2 progress. Last 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. Yep. On the women's side, it's a bit more complicated. The top 3 from every group will progress, and then along with the best 4th place finisher. So we could basically say that's going to be one of the 4th place teams in A, B, or C. So going by ranking, you're looking at Brazil, Denmark, or Sweden, probably, depending on.
You think so? But at least it makes the men's side easy. It's just top 2. So I think that's out with Group G and Group H.
Not Brazil.
Finland, yeah. So Group G and Group H, you're looking at Denmark and Israel and Japan and France. Those games will matter. Although the top 2 progress, you are going to be, kind of mid-table. Like, where does that then take you to the next set of games?
They've not
having a better
announced like the who.
We're just taking all our years of wall charts, Bez. Would you have Group A against Group H? Is it Group A against?
So
honestly, that's one side of the bracket.
Once I know that, I probably will bring back the wall chart. To be honest.
Yeah, let's go. It'll make our life so much easier to see who's going to play who potentially the next round.
I'll throw that on the rogue Bez promises spreadsheet, but
going through the one that I took from this is going through is a guaranteed 17th ranked team, a 19th ranked team, or an unranked team are going through to the last 16? 2, 4, 6.
So both sides
8,
are going to be the last 16,
12, 14, 16. So at the top 16, there will be a 17 and 19 nation making it through to the last 16, guaranteed. It has to be the top 2 from Group A. So there's definitely going to be positives from a seeding perspective for them. They're going to be finishing quite high.
I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, because they could really favor it. They could really favor like the teams that win the groups by essentially reseeding. So no matter who,
I don't think they would do that though.
Like, I don't know if they would, but it's not like I hope they'll just do it as a bracket because it's much easier to follow at home and it just makes everything easier.
I'm trying to think of like world. So
Euros last year was just a bracket. Euros last year was just a bracket.
Euros was a bracket, yeah.
So I'm hoping they'll just come out.
I'm even thinking about like Olympics.
That's just a bracket.
Like that, do they seed them? Like if you go like Olympics, I don't know, beach volleyball or like just even the soccer, basketball. Is it ranked? I don't actually know whether it goes by rankings in the quarterfinals.
I don't know anywhere that
bracket.
Anything on the big stage that would reseed round by round. So I think it'll just be a bracket. It's just going to come down to like who are Group A playing, who are Group B playing.
Yeah,
it's equally interesting on the women's side because like if the top 3 are going through, there's 2 groups that have only got 4 teams in, so a 1 and 2 team is going to make it. Probably 2 1 and 2 teams are going to make it. So you're potentially looking at a team with a losing record playing the USA in the round of 16.
When you feel like that, yeah, interesting.
It's a bit strange. I originally thought they might go for, top 2, and then a couple of best 3rd place teams to make it 12, and then do a wildcard round. 16 and 16 has a really nice symmetry to it, and obviously, if that's the precedent at the World Championships, as when we get back here in 2 years' time, when there's more, or 3 years' time, when there's more hopefully, a massively expanded group stage, then with way more teams, then you won't have that problem.
No, yeah.
So
I'm looking at the Olympics for basketball in Paris coming up, and it's not reseeded. It's like quarterfinal. There's like the normal
it's just
tables. Yeah. So it's not reseeded at all. So qualify for quarterfinals. The 8 teams will be divided into 4 pots according to their cumulative. Oh no, it is rankings. Yeah. The 8 teams will be divided into 4 pots according to the cumulative rankings. D, the best 2, E, 3 and 4, F, 5 and 6, and G, 7 and 8. Quarterfinal pairings will be drawn. So it is actually the world champion, the Olympics for basketball is actually reseeded based upon rankings, Bez.
But that's rankings in the tournament, though, right? That's not like world rankings.
Oh, I never read that part.
So that's like, if you come 4th in the group, you're in the 4th in the group bucket. It's not necessarily.
I get what you're saying. So
it's
seedings
like,
from the group then.
Yeah, it's not like, you were the. It's not like you've qualified as the 18th ranked team in the world, therefore you're playing 1. So I don't mind that. If it's based on results in the tournament, I don't mind it. If it's based on rankings from before the tournament, then that's the way that cricket does it.
That's what I'm trying to understand if it's going to be. Yeah, all it says is the 8 teams will be divided into 4 pots according to their cumulative ranking. It doesn't say seeding. What's your take on ranking?
I think that must be tournament ranking, right? But
you would hope so.
We'll wait and see. And when we know, we will let you guys know too. And we'll find a way for you guys to be able to download the wall chart when it's freely available.
I think it's good. I think unfortunately GB have got a tough group. I think that's my takeaway from this, Bez, and I think that's my takeaway is GB tough group. Group A, USA. Good luck. I don't think they'll start turning up till at least the quarterfinals or whatever. And it's kind of exciting to see Spain, Brazil, and Serbia. They're going to be wanting to get that second place finish. That's intriguing to me.
That's the battle for who comes second, right? Like that is huge.
I really like that group because that's massive. Like Spain are like a really good team. Obviously, I don't know anything about Brazil, but they're only 2 rankings behind. That's where the Netherlands should have been. Rank 18, I think. Could have been 17 versus 18, so it'd be 1, 17, 18, and 19 would get pushed into Group B. So that's the group the Netherlands would have been.
I actually think B is super interesting as well because you would, again, Mexico comfortable, but Australia and Chile, 2 teams I'm going to guess have never played each other before at flag football. And
never.
Yeah, obviously total wild card Cameroon.
Are they going? I hope so.
So
they're down.
Like African country making their debut. Will be the first African country with a ranking following the tournament. So excited to see how they get on. Given the fact that it's their first international tournament, I'm going to just say that that's a battle between Australia and Chile.
I think so,
and that'll be 2 completely different styles of play, I would imagine. So that'll be really good. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, like New Zealand, Czechia, Korea, Panama, countries from all over the world. Yeah, C and D are, I guess they're like a wee bit of a shame because it's groups of European teams, but there are just more European teams, so they're going to get drawn in a group together. So we just have to deal with that.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so that's it. Keep an eye out on all of the social media for both Team GB content and just general World Championships chat in the build-up to Lati and Puja Lati in August. We are 39 days out at time of recording from 40 days, 39 days at the time of release from the first kickoff of the World Championships 2024. And we are very, very excited about it.
Can't wait.
So moving on to other things that we are very, very excited about. It's been a long time coming. There's been social media build-up for months. You saw the live stream through our social media page earlier on as Jay and Ben took to the airwaves to bring you the Flagapolooza draw. Flagapolooza kicks off tomorrow at the Cheltenham Sevens, concluding on Friday afternoon. And there are teams from all over the place. It's probably got the highest percentage of mercenary teams or teams with fun names that I have ever seen at a single tournament. And yeah, really, really looking forward to seeing how everything goes. Yeah, sad that I couldn't make it in the end, but there will be some streaming of it. It'll be on YouTube. We will share the link. We will share the Turnify, so you can follow along even if you're not there. And maybe we'll even share some Artful Dodger tunes so you can imagine that you are there on Friday night and you can dance along to what will be on the main stage. But yeah, it's been fun today seeing teams like name their players and be like, oh, I know. But yeah, teams from all over the place. Kalikaku, obviously well known, like a party, got off the airplane today with a bottle of Jaeger that had been fastened into a seatbelt on the flight. So we know that the Europe's #1 party team are going to be there and having a great time. They're in a group with Flagapolooza, the Exeter Falcons, the Flagabonds, and Cheltenham Neptunes. Only Flags, who are the banter team of the motley crew from Cardiff and the surrounding areas. They're in Group B, along with the Rejects Club, which is teams from genuinely all over the UK and Ireland. Like the number of clubs that are represented on that graphic is nuts. The Cardiff Bay Coyotes, they are also in that group. Guardians of the Flag Sea, and our kind of South Scotland, North of England group, the Baywatch, they round that out. A very, very smokelicious yet sponsored sunglasses Pit Vipers group. They head Group C with the Bucks Wolves, the Waveney Wolves, the boys over from the Netherlands, and the Jokers, who have also been very good on social media in the build-up. They are in Group C. Well, in Group D, the Atatsuki Clouds, the Reading Devils, the Chargers from France, not our friends in West Lothian, the Chargers from France, Langton Green and Rexy's Midnight Runners make up Group D. So there's a lot on the line here. There's cash, there's belts, there's rings, there's a trip to, or an entry to the Flag Football World Tour Championships as well in Tampa. So if you are in, so yeah, if you're one of those teams in the mixed bracket, that's what you're aiming for, and you will be joined over there by one of the teams in the women's bracket, which is the Belfast Trojans, the South Dublin Panthers, Flag and Ball Z putting in their first ever women's Mercs team, the London Amazons, who obviously we know from WFFL finals, the Wayfinders, who seem to be from around the Cheltenham area, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments and I'll rectify it next time out. And the Huskies, who are also a GB team from the Cheshire area, making their debut. And I'm wondering if we'll see both of those teams in the WFFL later in the year. But yeah,
that'd be nice.
Big tournament, lots going on. Looking forward to it.
It's a good tournament, eh? I think it's done really good. And the integration with the event is massive. The integration with the other sporting events that are going on at the same time. It's not just a flag tournament.
Yeah.
I think once they get this out the way, the publicity that comes from it, the social media, what the event is as a whole, it's very niche. Like very is interesting to a lot of people, particularly. I don't want to say you're not going to catch me, Jimmy Thompson, and John Guthrie, partying it up on a Saturday night, but for a younger audience, this could be a very appealing weekend away to the UK. The guys might surprise me, might be up for it, but you know what I'm saying? It's a very good opportunity to play with flags in a really fun environment.
And there's like a massive captive audience as well, right? Like people, you know what it's like through the day at a festival. Like folk are wandering around, just kind of seeing what's around the corner, and they're going to come across flag, and that's cool. So
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think Ben and the whole crew down there have done an amazing job in pulling it all together. I'm sure they'll have a great weekend. I cannot wait to hear all about it. And yeah, I'm sure we will, and we'll be we'll crown some winners
Someone has organised a tournament, Bez.
Semester.
This is up there with the like firm handshake of
Oh,
well done, guys. This is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
So and you know what? I checked the weather earlier on. 0 red weather warnings.
Oh, let's
Right.
go.
So that's I've like nailed it. Well
That's
done,
all
guys.
that matters, man. 0 red weather warnings, or
0.
even amber. Like that is a win.
Yeah. See. Well, yeah. When you wake up in the morning and you don't see the phrase "threat to life" on your weather forecast, you know that
The
you're
only
doing
thing
well.
I don't know if you've seen, because it's obviously a musical festival, and I think the one I seen recently was Cammy Wilson. Did you see his pictures of? Is it Download Festival?
Oh, he was a download. Yeah.
There's Mud Bowl in Aberdeen, and then there was like Download. I think that he was at. Hopefully, God, like just hopefully that doesn't happen. That the field doesn't turn into something like that. But I'm sure either way they'll have fun. So hopefully the weather's with them this weekend, guys. I wish them the best of luck with the weather and the event as a whole. They'll do great.
Well, tomorrow in Cheltenham, the weather, according to the front page of Google anyway, is going to be up at 29 degrees. So
Let's go. Bring the suntan.
I feel like I don't need to say this at a music festival, but remember to hydrate, kids. I don't care what you hydrate with. Just remember to hydrate.
Just remember to do it. Yes.
That's it. Here's your good old tips from
public service announcement from Bez.
From Uncle Bez. Up in his, don't forget to hydrate, children. Yes, absolutely. Right. News item number 4.
Wow, we're going with the news today, aren't we?
I guess I'm gonna hand over to our BAFA Affairs spokesperson.
Oh no,
Mr. Stuart Anderson.
Thanks, Bez. There was a tender process, Bez, wasn't there? I remember we discussed it a few times, and we gave some ideas that could go forward. Apparently, none of them were good enough to take it, and obviously. There could have been some that were close. There could have been some that were far away. We'll never know. Unless Greg releases a freedom of information request so we can go get the information and find out and have a giggle over it. It seems like they've obviously went through, they received several tenders, and I appreciate everyone's interest and effort. While some proposals demonstrated great passion and commitment, they were not suitable for our needs, and we would need to have and would not have been pursued. All participants have received feedback on their submissions. The forthcoming 2024-2025 WFFL competition will be managed in-house. So, quite disappointing that nobody got selected. Obviously, we don't know who put in for tender. Was it Catalyst? And if there was several, who were they? Is several just saying nobody put one in? We just don't know. I don't have any of this information or foresight or insight to anything. I know of two, I think, who put tenders in. But to hear that none of them got taken as even an opportunity to be, yes, this is a good proposal. Can we make assistance? Can we change things? Can we work on it? I'm quite surprised, Bez. I wonder, what are they looking for then that they're not offering? Like, so what is it? A bigger picture? Is it bigger ambition? Like, what is it?
One part of it was definitely, they said we don't want to tie ourselves into a multi-year deal before the new CEO is in, because it's part of his remit.
Yeah, that was part of the statement. Yeah.
So when I read that, I actually thought, like, that's actually, if that is the reason, that's actually a, relatively speaking, like an adult decision. Like, I understand that, right? Because if I'm taking on a new role as a CEO and I'm immediately tied into like a contract for 5 years, say, right? Let's just, like, 5 years does not exist in the tender process. I am making that up, right? For 5 years with someone I find I cannot work with, right? They are just, you know what I mean? Like, everyone gets it. Personality clash, whatever. I cannot work with this guy. That's a rubbish situation to be put into as Chad, right? I also think that they did enough of a review to give feedback, right? Again, I'm fine with that, because I would rather they said, everyone has now had the opportunity to see what we were asking for, right? The tender pack was public. We, as we love doing on a audio, bit of content, we went through a form. that no one else can see, because we love that. But I would much rather that they said that, like, this is what we wanted. The input was awesome, but it's not what we're looking for. Rather than just like being like, well, this is the best of
settling.
This is the best thing out of a group of things that don't do what we want. This is the one that's closest, so we'll just have a bash at it. I think that would have been a bad move, and I think it would have been an easy move as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So by not doing that, I'm actually cool with it, but
yeah, I'm neither here nor there.
Just kind of kick the can down the road a little bit. Now, I'm glad that they also have appointed Alan Young, to do the WFFL.
Yeah.
Like, that's brilliant, because
that's smart.
Obviously, was flag football commissioner for a long time. Right, was on the committee. Is the GB men's head coach, and is obviously a glutton for punishment because, let's do another one.
Heavily involved in the women's
chair of SCOFF. Heavily involved in the women's. Like, he is a great candidate. Flag and New Year, Flag and Ironman. We all know Youngie can organise events and tournaments, and I have no qualms about that at all. Keeping it in house and getting the ball moving rather than waiting another month until the CEO's in house. Great. Like, it's disappointing that we don't have an answer, but I think it's a good example of, like,
well, that's just what the statement reads.
The decision making process from we don't want to do this until Chad is in place to where we are. I can't really find a fault with, even if the outcome is disappointing.
Yeah, that's why you've got to ignore the fact that they were declined. That you have to ignore that. Like, they might have been great. I think from a business perspective, like, that's exactly what you're saying. It makes total sense. Like, the statement reads exactly, in quotes, "We feel it would have been unfair to make a multi-year commitment without the incoming CEO's involvement in such a crucial decision, especially with ongoing discussions about the future funding for Flag," which we've discussed on one podcast before, ahead of the LA Olympics. Nonetheless, we apologise for the delay in the process. It makes total sense.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm fine with it. And previously, BAFA wouldn't have said anything. It would have just got to October, and they would have been like, "Oh yeah, ta-da!"
Yeah, where there's transparency, there's communication. Yes, it's unfortunate, but at least it's done in a mannerism that we can go, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you would want to have your CEO's involvement, and that shows us his commitment to Flag and the investment and interest he has to not just focusing on Kitty, but to give both disciplines the respect that they deserve to make sure it's going to be successful. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally fine with this. I wonder if they have been invited back to tender again. I'd imagine they would, with the feedback they've been given, and we invite you back to tender when this comes around. You'd imagine that would be part of the process. And then from that, they'll then be in a better position based upon feedback to propose more accurately in their vision statement that they want for the sport. So yeah, I'm cool with this one, Bez, and my BAFA relations post here.
Rare.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good though.
It's rare when you're in a tendering position to be given feedback and then given time to think about it and then go back again, because normally you're given the feedback, but someone's better than you, right? So they've already won it, so you don't get another chance for years. In which case, you may never go back.
No, exactly.
So yeah, it's like you say, it's a wee bit unfortunate, and I'm sure, like, there's still potential for conflict between, like, the organising committee and the community as we get down towards Christmas, when we would normally expect registration stuff to open.
I was about to ask you that question.
Like,
yeah, I was going, like, how does that impact, like, next year?
Like, there's obviously still that potential for there to be friction and it to feel rushed, but again, where we are now, it makes sense. There will become a point when decisions have to be made quickly, and that's when we just have to see.
Because you're thinking, again, even if you open up tenders, let's just hypothetically say after the summer holidays into August, gets his feet in the ground a little bit, and it opens up end of August. You give them 30 days to put tenders in.
So now you're saying 1st of September.
You're getting into September time, correct? And a
2
decision,
weeks,
then you see
2
how
weeks
long
to
it
make
took.
A decision.
2 weeks to make a decision, potentially longer. Hopefully not longer, because obviously we know the reason why it was delayed in that instance, so that makes sense. So what are we now?
2 weeks
August,
to make a decision.
September,
You're now saying September
mid-Sep.
16th, say,
And then
we would normally. So that's fine because
onboarding.
Because that's fine. That's fine because that's finals weekend, right?
Yep.
So that's okay. But then, yeah, you've got to do all of your onboarding, and we're normally going to say that registration maybe opens mid-November. So
yeah,
it'll get tight again. Of course it will. But
I think there's an opportunity here. That's what I'm saying. If they did have their timeline right, there's still an opportunity for this to go completely not unnoticed, but whoever comes in has an opportunity to build whatever that's going to look like potentially for next year.
Yeah.
Does it? Obviously, we'll see whether it's going to be the same format as this year. Naturally, I think there will be changes, but will the format remain the same? What does that vision look like? Is that going to be implemented by next year? I highly doubt it. If you look at the roadmap, I think next year we're still looking at the same sort of structure as is at the moment. But I think next year I would maybe lead on expecting next season to be the same as this year. Potentially, I don't see whoever comes on board. If they did come on board this year, there was no way they would be able to implement that before next season.
Oh no. Although there is
definitely not.
There is a really interesting line in the release, and I know you've got it up in front of you, so I
do. Yeah.
I can't quote it directly, but it's something about the WFFL will go along the timeline, like the timeline that Kyle came up with his outgoing flag. Yeah.
The competition will follow the timeline set out by outgoing flag football commissioner Kyle Taylor and agreed upon by all the women's flag community. But it's specific to the women's flag community.
Yeah. So
teams will be contacted with the next step. So there's still the vision and the roadmap for that remains intact.
So that means spring finals. That's what that means. I don't know if the season is due to start when it normally does, but the change that they made there was to have kind of a longer season going into next year. So that's quite cool.
So that's cool. So it stays the same.
I'll tell you what that means, though, Tree. That means what that means right now. That means no balcony. That means standing outside for 8 hours streaming flag football. That's what that means. I'll tell you right now because it'll be sunny. That's what that means. That's what that means.
I mean, the winner here is outside in the spring. God forbid it's in Scotland because it could be snow, rain, hail, gorgeous. It could be sideways wind. Who knows what that weather's going to be like? But oh my god, you can still have it indoors.
I can tell you that no matter what it is, it's going to be warmer than a Ravenscraig balcony in December.
There's no way they're coming back to Ravenscraig, right? 2 years of all the English teams coming up here. Is it coming? No way. I mean, Youngie's got like the reins. I mean, I'm sure he might want to have his way to bring it up.
He's got all of the contacts at.
I think if I was a southern team like a Saxon City or a London Amazons, I'd be like, why is it in Scotland all the time? Surely there's a venue near the middle of the country that makes it easier for us. Just being that devil's advocate, we fly in the middle there, Bez. I can side with the southerners a wee bit sometimes, although we don't see eye to eye sometimes, and these things we do.
You just like to travel.
Yeah, I don't mind traveling, man. I mean, my traveling is going to be quite diluted now, but I feel for them. So it'll be again good spring flag football. Women's continues. No anything happening. Alan Young takes the reins for a wee bit, and we'll see what happens from a BAFA perspective very soon, Bez. Exactly.
We will. And the Alan Young angle is a fantastic segue for those that are more local to the Highland, the HNC, the Highland National Conference, Highland North Conference. I can't remember what it was. It's been so long ago since
really know that. We're called literally the way we HNC it.
It's been so long since it actually was called the HNC now that I can't remember what the initials mean.
It was conference back in the day, Highland North Conference.
Was it not North? Yeah, it was North, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it changed.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff out from SCOFF recently. Number one, that the effervescent tournament that is Flagging New Year is now open for registration. Domestic entries went almost immediately, so there's now just international ones open. So if you are an international tournament and you want to come to Scotland to celebrate the new year with a flag football tournament, could not recommend it enough. Would love to have you over here. Head over to the Scottish Flag Football Facebook page and you'll find the link to enter now. If you are a domestic team that did not quite have fast enough fingers to get your registration done, Alan normally reopens domestic entry if there's a kind of a slowdown in international teams entering, so you do still have a chance. But yeah, if you want to be in, you got to be quick. And yeah, for those that are even closer to home, SCOFF have launched a consultation on a kind of Scottish flag football awards ceremony, kind of party gathering that would take place annually. There's no firm plans for like a date or hosting the event. It's just a consultation on whether or not that is of interest to the community. So again, please go and visit the Scottish Flag Football page. Yeah, I'll remember to share the link over the weekend on our one as well so that you can see it. But yeah, please do fill it out. Even if it's not of interest to you, that's also good to know. It's good to know if you think it's a stupid idea. So regardless of how you feel about it, please take a couple of minutes just to fill the form.
Just another bit of news, Bez. I don't know if we had it on the list. The Women's Flag Football Development Day.
Oh yes, that's the yes. I knew there was 3 things on SCOFF, and I had 2 of them down in my head. Yes,
there you go.
Yeah, so Women's Flag Football Development Day, open to all women in Scotland, basically, that want to play flag football. So if that is you, if that is someone you know, if that's someone you think you can kind of coerce into going, then yeah, please also Scottish Flag Football on Facebook. Fill the form out and go along. Do you have the date handy?
18th of August, 12 p.m. in Stirling at the Forth Bank Performance Sports Centre, Bez. 12 till 4. 4 hours of flag football development.
Fantastic. And again, another exemplary venue.
Great venue.
Great venue. Great venue. And there's also in Bridge of Allen, just down the road, there is one of my favourite little coffee shop, cafe, restaurants. So if you are coming from further afield and you want to know where that is, drop me a message, because I pointed it out to someone the other day and they were like, oh, I had no idea that was in there. And I don't live very far away from you. So there you go. Top tips. Yeah, if you want a Bez recommendation on a coffee shop, then let me know and I'll sort you out.
There is a little bit of Winter League news, I guess, but I don't know. I think there's dates being proposed for that.
Yeah, so the teams that took part last year, I think, have been offered first shout and the dates. So if you are one of those teams, your team coach, captain, organizer in chief should be going through the Winter League process. So
I should be in a position to help Alan a bit more this year compared to last year. So I'm going to see if I can help him out a bit more. I need to see how the wee in is, but I've seen that pop up in the wee notifications. I was like, oh, cool, it's that time of year.
It's all
Mr. Young, he's been busy. You can tell it's the summer holidays and he's not in the school.
Yeah. It's all kicking off. And I think the other one is that the GB youth flag development camps are happening. So the European youth championships are later on this year. And the youth teams are kind of obviously going through their process building up to it, but there are camps available for kids born in 2011. There are 30 spaces for players to be nominated to go and train with those kids. So, but it's the 3rd and 24th of August, 10 till 4. There's no information on where, so I don't know. But again, go on the BAFA Flag Facebook page, you'll see the post. But the kids, you have to be born in 2011. So it narrows the scope down. But if you are, they have to be nominated by their coach or their teacher. So there you go. That's the information. Go have a look. And hopefully we'll see some of the bright stars of the future.
Talking
at those
youth
camps.
Chieftains youth team. Slovenia / elsewhere.
/ Italia.
That happened. Apparently it was incredible. They did really well. I was speaking to Michelle at the last game day there about how Eva found it. And she said she thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great. But I've said that Slovenia is a beautiful country to go to. Absolutely gorgeous. You know, they had the ability to go to out in the lakes, go explore as a team. and not just the flag, but just as a whole opportunity for team and player development in themselves. An opportunity I think I heard was rather well received, Mr. Besley-Berry. I don't know, I can't remember the results exactly. I think the older team done better than the youth, or the youth done better than the older team. I can't remember.
I think across the pair of them, they were level. Yeah, it was what an awesome experience. Like, genuinely,
It really is.
just like what an awesome experience. So just can't really fault that like at all. So yeah, hopefully we're gonna get we're gonna be getting Alan on very soon. So we'll be able to bring you kind of the stories and the gossip from his perspective on how that tournament went.
It'd be great to speak to him about it. It was great. Just everything, even from everything that happened beforehand to then making things happen, and then just the flag football community as a whole, just being able to come together to bring something that's still possible for them. There's a big story to tell in this one, from start to finish. You know, organization, coaching, the events, the location they played in. It's just, yeah, I can imagine that'll be a fun story to listen to.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
from
like
Youngie's
just
perspective,
going abroad at that age, you know, with like your team as well, like with like a team of like your peers, like it's, you know, it's like it's obviously completely different to like going away to Italy with your mum and dad. Like going away with the crew is totally different. So let's move on to the NF.
yeah. What were we going through the whole board? Where you want to start this time?
I don't think we're going to go through the whole board.
Yeah.
Just because it takes forever and it ends up just as kind of reading the scores out. So I guess the question I'll ask you, Tree, is when you saw the results. Well, first off, yeah, let's do it that way. When you saw the results kind of petering in from around the country over the weekend, what was there anything that like stood out to you?
I mean, it has to be Smoke, Cardiff, Reading. Piqued my interest more than any other results. Like, yes, after those, I had my own self-indulgent look at the Division 1 standings to how the Colts are maybe going to either get in or out of the bubble and then get into the playoffs, which is kind of exciting. But having a look at the results come in for the sort of Smoke Devils Cardiff situation, that caught my eye, Bez. That caught my eye. I don't know if they were in order, the games, because I think it was, I forget what order they came in. I'm trying to find them super quickly.
So the order that they're on the scoreboard is the order they were on the BAFA schedules. I don't know if obviously in the arrangement of the day if they happened in a different order, but
got you. Because that's probably the one that caught my eye the most. So, for example, if you start at the beginning, where was it? There. In regards to order, Smoke 32, Hurricanes 36.
Yeah.
One score game. Quite a high scoring affair for those guys, as you kind of expect. That was kind of the first one, the line of like back to back, like, oh, the Smoke just lost the game. And then maybe a game later, the Hurricanes get beat by the Devils. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, 32-35, again, equally a very close game, one score in it. And I was like, oh my goodness gracious me, that is throwing an absolute spanner in the works. That now they've beat each other, which I did not put down for those results the weekend.
So I haven't confirmed it with anyone who was there in the game day, but I did hear that the Smoke scored late to get it that close.
Right. Okay.
The Hurricanes were up, and then they scored to get it close, and then would have had to get the ball back and score again, and it didn't come off. It didn't come off for them. But the real winner of that chaos is just along the road, because Glasgow all of a sudden are the only team in the UK to have not lost a game and are now the 1 seed. So we were saying on the way in, the winner of the Smoke Hurricanes game,
that's your 1 seed.
Will be the 1 seed, because the Hurricanes were for about an hour and a bit, 2 hours maybe. But that loss, Glasgow, 3 wins at the weekend. went to bed the 3 seed.
You're gonna like it. You now
Woke
Hornets
up the 1 seed, just about.
really fancy that. As long as they don't screw up in the last week. I don't know who they play in the last week. I don't have visibility over that quickly. But the Hornets now in a 1 seed give themselves I'm not going to call it an easier semi-final. Definitely not. But they end up with the lower ranked seeded team in at least the semi-final, because they go directly into the semi. Don't know.
They go into
do.
the quarterfinal. They go straight. They come in at the quarters.
Aye. So they definitely come in with an easier opportunity, and then when you go through to the semi-final, that seeding then.
But what's mental though about that? What's mental about that though is, as it stands right now, the 3rd seed is the Smoke, and therefore your easier semi-final is the 2-time defending national champions.
Yep. Yeah, so, and then it gets to that semi-final, and you're just like, oh, so you might get an easier quarter, but when you move on to your semi, that hurts.
It all gets a bit silly. So
So is it 1 versus 3 or is it 1 versus 4?
Oh, sorry, it'd be 1 versus 4. Damn it! Sorry, it'd be 1 versus 4.
So it's
Crows. They get the Crows. Yeah. And
you threw me off there a little bit.
Cardiff and London would play each other in the semi. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yep.
Like
cool.
by being,
I was having a wee midlife crisis there.
Yes, by the Smoke being 3rd, that means that someone's semi-final becomes.
So that's arguably Hurricanes, Smoke in 1 semi, and then Hornets, Crows in the other, and you fancy the Hornets to beat the Crows in that scenario.
However,
I like the howevers.
Because of the Smoke beat the Devils beat the Canes beat the Smoke. On a week on Sunday, and we will preview this before it happens, Reading versus London is now to avoid a wild card. To avoid a wild card game, right? Because their like aggregate score, their points difference doesn't matter anymore because they're already tied on record. So unless there's like an upset somewhere else, one team will have 1 loss and one team will have 2 losses, right? So the aggregate score tiebreaker doesn't come into it.
Doesn't apply. No.
So like Reading no longer have to win by, I think it was 3 scores. They now just have to win by a point. So that win against the Hurricanes is huge for them because they're now in a position where all of a sudden they can become the 3rd seed. And all of a sudden, that means that the 12 seed, well, regardless of what happens, the 12 seed are either going to play Reading or London.
Yeah.
Right? and that means to Manchester, to the Crows, to your point, that means you're probably either getting Reading or London in your quarterfinal. So you've done all that work to win the division, and then it's like, hey,
have one of these teams.
Have one of these teams. And to be fair, the last couple of seasons, that 5 seed has been Grangemouth, right? They've been the 2nd or 3rd best team in the country, but because the Hornets are in the division, they are the 5 seed. So they walk into a quarterfinal being a lower seed, but feeling like they're better than the team they play, right? Like they are the higher seed, even though they're the lower seed. And now that's Reading, right? So, or God forbid, London if the Reading win, right? So yeah, that's where it gets crazy, because then that semi-final isn't Glasgow Crows. That semi-final is Glasgow Reading London. If the Crows can't overcome that lower rank, like it gets all panicky and if this and if that, well, and if this happens and that happens. But yeah, the fact that those 3, the big 3 in the south, are kind of 1 and 1 in a triangle with each other, in a glorious flag football love triangle. Like it just makes the seedings nuts.
It does. I think it really throws a lot of intrigue into the southern thing. Like it really does. I think when you kind of come back to Scotland and like the HNC, I think I'm really proud of the guys this year. The Oil Cats, the Outlaws, although we knew they had a tougher back end of the season, they've grinded it out.
Huge win for them against Manchester
Massive.
Titans.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive. I was the ref crew for that game, and it was, I think they scored with under a minute left to take the lead.
That's incredible. It's so good.
And then held off the final kind of
I'm just so
Desperation
pleased
drive.
for them. Like, I'm so proud of them. I'm pleased
Like,
with them.
they
We said like they started a good easy schedule at the beginning. It's not mattered. They've pushed on
and it was
through. They've
like
got massive results, and they're the
it
8th
was
seed.
it was really cool, right? And it was like it's like see and with my Aberdeen Oilcats hat on, devastating for us, right? Because we lost
Of
the
course,
Titans,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
devastating for us because that we are now right behind the 8 ball. We're now down to 4th in the division where we woke up in 2nd, right? So that's brutal for us. But from like, yeah, the guys I see every game day performing well and going down to the Titans and then coming back and winning it right at the death, like huge confidence win for them. Huge confidence win
Big
for them.
time.
And they're going to go into the final weekend of the season, and yeah, it's tough, right? They've got Edinburgh, they've got Glasgow, then they've got Glasgow on that schedule. Sorry, they are Edinburgh. They've got Grangemouth and they've got Glasgow on that, but they're still going to feel
beat Grangemouth, like, and you're on the same amount of wins as them.
Yeah, so they've got Renfrew, Grangemouth, and Glasgow. So they've got 3 games.
Tough game day.
Yeah.
But they're only 1 win behind Broncos in a whole season of football. Like, they must be so pleased and proud of this, how the seasons went for themselves.
And they absolutely should be. Like, they absolutely should be. Like, to me, the HNC at the moment is, as a division, is chaotic. Like, you're either a top 10 team by ranking, or you're in the relegation zone. Like, that's it. That is the division as it stands at the moment, because it's the the 1, the 7, the 8, and the 10, and then the Raptors and obviously the Distillers are already down. Good win for the Distillers, picked up their first win of the season.
Yay!
Delighted that they got that over the Bees. They'll be pleased with that. Raptors obviously put together 2-1 game day.
Couple wins, yeah.
Over
Good to see them back again.
Over at home. Good to see them playing well. I said this to you off air, and I'll say it again. I know there's like friendly, like healthy, like rivalry between Aberdeen and the Crows. One of my most favorite games of the year, regardless. The last 4 games were now split, I think, by 5 points. No, sorry. The last 4 games. The last 4 games are split by 3 points, I think.
That is mental.
Because I think we won 1 by a point and they've won 3 by a point. It's chaos. Like, absolute chaos.
That's what you want, though. Like that.
And again,
that for the Oil Cats, so as I said to you off air as well, must give the Oil Cats so much. Like, that's your like number 1 seed in the north. It's your number 4th seed in the country. Well, 5th, yeah, 4th or 5th seed in the country, depending on how you want to see it. And then you're only getting beat by a point. Like,
it's one of those things where, like, yeah, you do feel good about it because you're like, okay, I know that they're a very, very good team, right? But it's also like, see, when you only lose by a point, you're like, ugh. And I think they will think quite rightly that they probably could have beaten us by more. We will say we will quite rightly as well think that if we're a bit more clinical, we can win by more. Like, they were, as a defender, they were completely on top of us the first half, but I don't think they scored the second half. So, like, that gives you confidence in yourself. There's just a little bit of like, if we'd worked that out 10 minutes earlier, then but then at the same time, the offense will say, if we convert and 1 more extra point, then it's a tie, right? And they'll say we convert 1 play here, 1 play there, we score 6 more, so it's not even close. But no, it was a really good game. They obviously have clinched the division. So that's 3. That's the Hurricanes, the Crows, and the Hornets have all clinched their divisions respectively. Smoke and the Devils is going to come down to the last day, obviously, which is great. Pair of them on 92% win rate. So there's only one playoff spot.
One playoff spot
left.
Yeah,
so none of the seeds are locked in. Don't think any of this. I don't even think the Crows. No, the Crows are not fully locked in either. So, none of the seeds are locked in. Anything could still happen to move anyone around. But 11 teams are definitely in the playoffs. So the definite playoff teams are Glasgow, Cardiff, London Smoke, Crows, Devils, Sharks, Broncos, Outlaws, Titans, Oilcats, North Ants Titans. The Neptunes are in the 12th seed as it stands. Any non-losing result for them clinches it. So on the final day, if they just get one tie, they're in. And even if they were to lose all their games, there still needs to be a massive points turnaround.
I don't see it happening. So it can be done, but I don't see it.
The Bandits, and the Scorpions can still do it, but there would need to be the absolute massive turnaround. And they, I think both of them play the Crows, maybe. So it's extremely unlikely, but they're not eliminated yet, and that is why the Neptunes do not formally have the clinch on the spreadsheet and in the blog. But the ball is. They are in complete control, you know.
Yeah. Well, they also get a first wildcard game against the Reading Devils. That sounds like fun for Cheltenham or Smoke. Fun times, Bez and the.
Yeah, and to be fair, the way that it shapes up at the moment, I'll be honest, I'm a wee bit sad at the way it shapes up at the moment in the wildcard round. I'm hoping for a bit more variety come the end of the season, because at the moment it's Devils, Neptunes, Sharks, North Ants, Broncos, Oilcats, and Outlaws, Manchester Titans.
North-South.
Which is North-South.
Straight divide. Yeah.
Ugh. Not a huge fan. Is obviously still open to change. Would like it to change just for novelty's sake. You know, like, I like the Broncos guys, but if I had the opportunity to play a South team, I would take it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would say exactly the same.
I'm sure they would say exactly the same. Yeah.
So yeah, and what that does mean is that on the other side of that, in the relegation battles at the moment, the Raptors, Kings, and Revolution are definitely in, as far as I can tell. The Flash and the Phoenix can still escape in their divisions, despite currently being ranked in the bottom two. But yeah, they would need. Yeah, they can still escape, but it would be tough for them. So the way that the Premiership teams in the promotion relegation battle at the moment looks is just the Raptors, because the Distils are already down by rule. The Titans, Bees, and the Revolution, the Flash and the Spark, and the Kings and the Phoenix as we go along north, south, and south. I couldn't quite work out. I think the Titans, Bees might be one of those teams, like a theoretical mathematical hope of the playoffs, which would mean they're the only team that are currently in a relegation zone that could also make the playoffs. So that's fun.
Okay, that's an interesting little.
That's fun, but I don't know. Like, there's a lot of, but this team plays this team, and that would affect this tiebreaker that I haven't bothered with yet. So I don't know. They're my maybe team, but the Bandits and Scorpions can definitely overhaul the Neptunes with massive scorelines, and the Neptunes falling apart.
Which they won't.
They won't. But
esteemed professionals. They'll be absolutely fine, Bess.
They won't. But it's theoretical. Right, Div 1, because we haven't got a huge amount of time on our studio. So, Div 1, did anything across the nation surprise you, bring you in?
I think that from a Colts perspective, because I was there, and also, Bez, I got called out for not giving the Ravens ammunition for coming up.
Huh?
Yep, I got called out. It's like, hey, Tree, no podcast. There was no ammunition to give the team as motivation for the day. I sincerely apologise. I will see if I can do better. I could maybe give them a statement just now to drum them up for the rest of the season. We gave them. I think we played the Colts and the Centurions. I unfortunately had to leave after the first game. Again, I sincerely apologise to my teammates for having to do that, family first and all that. We gave the Ravens a game. It was good. Back and forth, offensive juggernaut. I think the Ravens offensively are particularly handy. I think defensively, they're very weak. Considering we didn't really have many offensive weapons and we still managed to score them pretty convincingly. It wasn't too easy, but I mean, I think they're going to have to sharpen up a bit. So there's your positive sandwich.
Your stinging critique.
They just need to improve defense. Like, Blitzer needs to start breaking down a bit more. If I was a dick, I would just step into it. Someone will when they come up to the better teams. And then the kind of defense that they play, I won't give it away on this. I'm not that kind of guy, but the defense that they play It's too. I'm trying to think of the word to use, but it's erratic at times. There's gaps. They need to kind of keep their structure a bit and don't go free roaming. Like stick to the program and they'll be better. But there's your ammunition. Offense, great. Defense, you're going to get pulled apart a bit by some better teams. But they were great. I think they were really competitive. I liked the Ravens squad. They were fun to play. Centurions, I was shocked, Bez. We almost beat them with like nobody. We had like nearly a quarterback. Duffy and Ali were big. I think Ali he went 8 for 6 catches, so 8 attempts, receptions, 6 catches, 4 touchdowns.
Oh, the conversion rate on that.
Is unreal, unprecedented. So I think that gives us confidence throughout the year. Apart from the first game week, I'm super happy with the way the Colts have played this season. We've had a lot of small squads. We've had a lot of inexperience. We've had a lot of, really close battles with some really good teams, and I think we're unfortunate to be where we are, but I'm proud of the guys for just sticking through this season, through the turmoil and missing players and stuff. So to be third with an 8-7 record, with an outside chance of making playoffs, I'm really pleased with the way in which we played, Bez. But outside of the Colts, Mustangs and Chargers, get your ties out, boys and girls. A wee tie, which was fun. Unfortunately, I didn't see that game taking place. I think it was played at the same time I had to leave or something.
The write-ups from both teams made it sound like an absolute cracker.
Was it?
Like on Facebook, like the way the Chargers wrote it up and the way that the Grangebed page wrote it up, it genuinely sounded like an absolute cracker.
It's been good this year to see those two teams go at it, like not just against each other, but across the whole division and conference, and to be in the position that they both are, that's like still an exciting game.
It's been funny as well that they're like how do you say it? Like they played each other so late in the season, right? So like they got on a run. Like it's not like it's not like they played week 1 and one team's been chasing the entire season. Like they've been at it. Been competing without ever having to actually compete for the first 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks of the season or whatever, like the first 3 months of the year. So that's been really cool. They've both clinched now, which is cool. As you said, Colts in second, right on the bubble. Centurions and Serpents also clinched, but they still have to play each other one more time, I think. Maybe they don't. I can't remember. Let's go have a look.
Yeah, so they've clinched. So that's 4 from the north clinched, which is really good to see. And we're still bubble teams, Colts, Silvercats, Ravens, and Vikings, all still theoretically able to get in. I'm quietly confident. Like, I don't obviously know what's happening with the Comets, unfortunately. I hope they turn up for us to go a 2-1 or a 3-0 game day, because we play Chargers, which obviously they're going to look to get their own back against us after we beat them earlier on in the year. So that'll be fun. Okay. And then they'll be okay. They'll be all right. But again, as ever, I take that game a bit more personal than the rest of them. So I'll be coming out swinging. Well, hopefully I can play. I've already told the guys I'm pretty much guaranteed not to be there, but I'm going to try my best to take part in that one. No promises though. And then we've got the Comets and the Gunslingers. So we're hopeful that we can go 2-1. I'd love to go 3-0 and stick it to the Chargers again, as always, just because it's funny and have a bit of banter with them. But we'll see what happens, man. But it's still mathematically possible. But we'll see what happens.
When I did the math, you still have a chance. So you're the 18 seed. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the south, which we'll get to in a minute.
We'll get to that,
to keep an eye on. But Centurions and Serpents, they play each other on the final day.
Do they? Okay.
They do indeed. The Serpents are 12-2, whereas the Centurions are 12-2. But there's kind of that maths is wrong.
There's a game missing there, Bez.
There's a game missing there. I have fucked that up. There's my swear for the week. I think that should be 16 because everyone else has played. I'll need to go back and check. I'll go back and check. Either way, they play each other on the final weekend of the season.
And that will determine your champion, basically.
And that will determine your final champion. So that's going to be pretty.
Can we also give a wee shout out to the Stingers?
Absolutely.
Absolute kudos to those guys for coming up with 4 players to Scotland to play against some grueling opposition. Well done, guys. I mean, that's hard to want to do that, but I think the greater perspective is you retain position, you retain club status, you're not missing games and forfeiting and 1-0s and all that nonsense. Like they came, they played, they balled out. It was a tough day, but shout out to them. The guys in the Vikings as well. I think they only travelled up with, was it 5, 6, 5? I think it was 5.
Vikings were 5, Stingers were 4. Yeah.
Yeah. I give you a shout again. 5 is still better than 4, but 5 is still not ideal. And again, likewise, the Vikings coming up and also balling out and just seeing it out. So fair play to the lads for doing that. It obviously means
a lot of teams would forfeit that, and they didn't, and that is commendable in itself.
It means a lot, not just from from an internal perspective for them to just come and want to do it, but it means a lot for us as well that they're making the commitment. They're giving us a game to play, because it's just everyone involved is like, why travel all that way for like one game, or all that way for maybe 2 games out of the 3? It means a lot to come out and do that and take their time out to do it. So yeah, I appreciate the guys for doing that and coming up, particularly the Stingers with 4. That's not nice. I've never had to fortunately do it. I've been close a couple of times. I think I've played with 5 before, and I've played with 6 once, and it's not easy. It's particularly at the Div 1. Obviously, it's not as bad as Prem, because Prem can get brutal. Div 1 can be brutal, and I think they played. Who did the Stingers play? I think they played the Mustangs. Cause I seen that was like 66 something. I'm sure.
They played the Mustangs, and then they played the Chargers, and it was 66 and 67.
2 of the best teams in Div 1. Fair play, lads.
And it's one of those things as well. Like once one. This is why I've spoken about this before, like why I don't particularly like points difference as a tiebreaker, because once one team does it, the other teams on that game day feel like they have to.
They've got to
keep pace.
I said that.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, why are they taking time out? So I'm like, points per game might matter.
Points per game might matter,
right? Some point.
So you have no choice. Whereas, and I've said this before on the show, and I'm always happy to have my mind changed if someone wants to make the argument. I personally prefer defensive points allowed as a tiebreaker.
Because you look at if you look at the Mustangs and the Chargers, Bez, points difference or nets point per game, there's only like 17.9, so let's just round it up to 18, and 19.8, let's just round up to 20.
Yeah,
there's only
3 points
2
per game.
3 points per game. That's nothing, and that could determine
2 points a game. So
you being ahead of the other person and your seedings, depending on who you play. We can't blame them for playing to the rules. And I said that to the Colts earlier on in the year, that it might come down to that. So why are we taking a time out with like 2 minutes to go? It's like, because later on in the year, that might matter. Like we are on the bubble.
Points, right?
It will genuinely at this point matter. Because if you look at even us, we're sitting at a points difference of 3.2, and all the teams above us, apart from the Honey Badgers, are greater than us. And it hopefully doesn't come down to that, but because we don't have a head-to-head against them.
Yeah, if you go the other way, like the teams that are all below you all have much lower points differences, and you could end up tied on record with them. So it's an imperfect tiebreaker. I kind of understand why, like, because it's just kind of the way it is. Yeah. But I don't think it's the most elegant solution to the problem.
No, definitely not in Div 1 at least. That could get vicious.
So yeah. Oh, and by the way, the Serpents had gotten away with me not handing them a loss, so their win percentage was correct, but they're 12-3, not 12-2, having played 15 games.
Okay, cool. So that's all right. That's all right. That's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Like the win percentage is correct, so the ranking is fine. It was just the loss bit of the spreadsheet doesn't actually do any maths. It's just played in wins that matter.
I think from a Silvercat, I think I just got talking about Div 1. Silvercat's had a bit of a rough one, Bez, by the looks of it. Tough loss to the Tridents.
Also, and I hope so Jamie's on holiday. Sean stepped in. Sean got hurt. QB Nick made a return to the fray. Nick Gordon back in at quarterback. But it wasn't enough to overcome. Tough loss for them. They're not out mathematically, but they need all the help in the world. They're going to basically have to run the table to have a shot. And even then, it's going to be very tight around that kind of 52-53% win mark.
Yeah. I think they've got a tough game day as well on the last game day too.
Yeah, so moving south, we got the Wolves. Waveney Wolves clinched. The Hammerheads have already clinched down there. They had a bye week. Bucks, Wolves, and VPP have clinched playoff spots. Blackhawks, Giants, Blue, and Samurai are coming out of North B. The Warthogs and the Stingrays are still in that. The Ravens and the Vikings are still in North A. Colts and Silvercats are still in Highland. And basically the entirety of the Midlands division, other than the Roosters, are theoretically still in with a shout. Although obviously it gets more and more theoretical the further down the division you go. I will make a caveat right now, and it genuinely serves as an apology to the Clyde Comets if I have made this mistake. For those of you that have read the blog and looked at the standings, I did remove the Comets from the league for the same rule as the Buccaneers and the Renegades. But I've actually asked. So basically, whenever I do these and I think most people know, but I'll say it for clarity. These are all done by myself and a couple of other volunteers, kind of behind the scene, to make sure that we're all putting the same input in and we all compare what our outputs are to kind of get the best guess. I never actually reach out to the league and ask because it just annoys people. Basically, it gets in the way. So obviously everything we do is a best guess. It's an approximation. And we do the best that we can with the data that we have. And obviously Tree and Greg and that are very, very good at looking at my graphics and saying, you spelt that wrong, you did that wrong. And I do most weekends, I post something that's not quite right. And I genuinely appreciate people that come back and say, we won that game. That was actually this score. No.
1 point. It was the other way around or something.
Point here. It was the other way around.
They're super helpful.
You put the same score twice. It's really useful. It's really useful for us because it's really hard to QA that stuff when you've got every score sheet from every game day. It's very easy to make those mistakes. So please, it's if you see something that's wrong, please do let me know, and I'll always double check.
We could all just go to Playways where it's 100% accurate, right?
I'll slap you.
I don't know if sarcasm comes across on a podcast all that well. Did it? I did it.
It does. Don't worry.
Sorry, guys.
An audio. Yeah.
As I stare right at the camera to Bez's face and go, just use Playways. It's great.
It's an audio medium, so it comes through. Don't you worry about that. But yes, so going by the same rule as the Buccaneers and the Renegades being removed, I did remove the Comets. However, I think I may have double counted one of the games they forfeited because I think it was rearranged and then they missed it again. But that's only one game, so it would only be 5, not 6. I'm trying to clarify that because that will massively impact the rest of how the standings look. So for those of you at the back, do not book, especially if you're right on the bubble, do not book transport to Manchester for finals. Do not book hotels based solely off of our rankings. We will not be held responsible for that if the league then come out and say, sorry, you didn't make it. We are illustrating the data we have. We are not the arbiters of truth. So,
which is a shame that we have to even say that the
Comets is a shame, but the Comets, I know there's been discussions around what is posted about the National League and what isn't. So we won't go too far into those weeds. But
we won't dive into that part. Yeah, but we know the promotion relegation battle though. We know that though.
Yes, so the promotion relegation stuff looks really fun. But
apart from one mistake, but we won't talk about it. It's just put the Silvercats ahead of the Colts. We don't.
So I did. I did. Oh really? Oh no. So that'll have changed. That's because I didn't change the screenshot. Yeah. I forgot that. I changed everything else except that screenshot. So it was the one the week before.
That's why I didn't want to pester you about it. It's it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Someone else was like, I think someone was like, you've still got the Tridents in the relegation zone. And I was like, they are in the relegation zone. They're like, yeah, but you've not got them in the playoff. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's all right.
We still love you, Bez, even through all these
stuff
things.
I'm on the clock at work.
Yeah. Shh. You never said that. Yeah. Shh.
So that might change, and that will change some of the standings in the north. but it only takes a couple of minutes. So when I get that kind of either way, I'll probably republish the blog and say what the actual answer is.
Yeah,
because
what the actual
it
ones
doesn't,
were. Yeah.
you know, like I'm very aware that at this end of the season, it can be quite stressful and people want to know what they have to do to make finals and what they have to do to avoid relegation and all that kind of stuff. And it can be very stressful on the people running the league because they're not necessarily in control of what gets posted on social media and when in terms of the official rankings and all that kind of stuff. So we're not here to make trouble. We're here to kind of provide content and entertainment and illustrate what we think is going on. So I just want to try and get that right. But yeah, don't book transport on our account, please.
Yeah, that's important. Please know that. I mean, it'll be again, as I said, it's a shame that there's no transparency and clarity on it, so we can just ball out, guys. Go have fun, play your best ability, and whatever happens.
If you win the
It's
games,
not
you've got a
going to
better
come down
chance.
to one last game day. It comes down to a whole season. Go out and perform in the last game day, and then see where you end up. But to still have 12 through 26 bets in Div 1, still fighting for arguably 1, 2, 3, 5 spots left. That's still cool. I mean, still a lot to play for. I mean, from the Stingrays all the way up to the Honey Badgers, it's all still to play for. And I think a lot of the teams play each other. Like, I think the Coyotes...
So down south, the 14, 15 and 17 seed have games against each other.
Yeah.
So 2 of them are in at the moment, 1 of them is not. The Sharks B are also a south team. They're down there, so they've got tiebreakers on the other teams. Yeah, it's good. So at the moment, the wildcard round is West Lancashire Serpents versus Sharks B, Victoria Park Panthers versus the Gwent Gators, Leeds Samurai versus the Cardiff Bay Coyotes, and the Nottingham Honey Badgers versus the Ravens. All of that is pretty cool because they have not necessarily played each other yet this year, other than VPP and the Gators. All of those are new matchups for the year, which is cool. So your promotion playoffs at the moment are in the Highlands, Raptors, Mustangs, Chargers, Colts. In the North, Scorpions, Revolution, Blackhawks, Centurions. In the South A, Spark, Flash, Waveney, Wolves, and VPP. While in South B, it would be Kings, Phoenix, Hammerheads, and Buckinghamshire Wolves. So that's the important kind of distinction to make there. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think that kind of wraps us up.
Yeah, nice quick wee roundup.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Keep an eye on the blog. We'll update it on the way in. We'll do a show before the next round as well. So we'll do a proper preview show.
I'll try and highlight some of the games as well, Bez. I'll kind of have a look around and see if we can point out any games that are influential to the decision making. We'll have a little dig into the schedule and see.
Yeah, there's a couple of pretty good ones out there.
I think we've highlighted some of them, but we'll have a look and see if there's any others.
There's a couple pretty good ones. Obviously, South B will come back for the final weekend of the season. So the Hammerheads will look to secure the 1 seed overall. That's still on the line, only just, but it is still on the line. So yeah, see how it goes. It would take a massive turnaround, but the Mustangs could still claim the number 1 seed overall, but the Hammerheads would have to do something very silly. But theoretically, mathematically,
hey, you never know. You never know.
Still happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure how everyone's going to pan out when it comes to playoffs. Like the Mustangs are okay. I don't know how they're going to get on against teams like the Hammerheads, for example, or Giants Blue, or even Samurai. Some of these Prem team level experience squads. Be interesting to see how they go on against them.
Well, I've booked my train, so I'm going to be there. I'm going to get down to Manchester on the Friday. I'm coming home on the Monday. I'm going to be there for both days. I'm looking forward to it. I'm psyched.
You're in. I'm hopeful too. What day is it again? September what?
13th, I think.
Yeah, I should be okay. That's going to be about
13th is the Friday.
It's about 6 weeks after Tiny Human, so I'm going to be close to weekly decision. I think I return to work on the 20th. Oh, I don't remember when I returned to work now, actually. It's kind of mid-September I returned to work as well, so I might have the freedom to come down still. I'm not sure. I haven't got any holidays to use, obviously, but I might be able to get down. I'm hopeful to get down. Obviously, I'd like to go down if my team makes it, but even if not, Bez, I'll see if I can accompany you.
Yeah, man,
and we can talk some flag football together as well and join the gang.
Absolutely. Yes, we can. Cool. Grand. Well, just before our time runs out, because I still haven't got a subscription for the new studio. We'll just say thank you very much, everyone, for listening. It's been a bit of a mission tonight. There's been a lot to cover. But we'll be back next week for our final game day of the regular season preview. And then we're going to be straight into World Championship mode, bringing you all the build up to the Lati World Flag Football Championships. Very excited, but thank you very much, Tree, for joining me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me again, as always, Bez. I'll speak to you hopefully very shortly.
Very shortly. So thank you very much, everyone. Good night, good day, good morning. When are you listening to this? I don't know. It's a podcast. You have the freedom, but it is goodbye from Tree.
Goodbye.
And it is goodbye from me. That is the way we HN see it.